few things I think about with it. So healthy fee environment is great. I think the question whether there's going to be fee environment in the future for miners as the block reward scales down, talking, 20, 30 years as halvings keep occurring every 4 years, and that block reward gets halved every 4 years. This healthy fee environment is a good signal toward demand for the base layer so that miners are incentivized to keep mining. And I think the block reward argument then becomes moot. I think there's probably a few things at play here. Wouldn't surprise me if there is a ETF applicant loading up on some Bitcoin right now, which is also reinforced with the bullish price action that we've experienced the last few months. But ultimately, I don't give a fuck. I don't give it too much thought, to be perfectly honest. I don't look at ordinals. I don't look at inscriptions. And, I think the most bullish thing for it, and the reason why I'm not worried about it, is ultimately those fees are denominated in Bitcoin, not in fiat. So they will run out of fucking, if they're using it for these stupid JPEGs that they want to inscribe, or files or inscriptions, or selling secret sats and all sorts of bullshit that the crypto bros want to bring to it, ultimately they're going to run out of Bitcoin before it becomes a real problem. And I think also what these high fee environment do is incentivize the community as a whole and the developers to pull their fucking fingers out and work on scaling solutions, whether that's shared UTXOs on base layer, or layer 2 solutions, or side chains, or liquid, or whatnot. I think it's bullish overall for the whole ecosystem because of the fact that we do have an issue with UTXOs. We've known for years that not everyone who's going to want to own Bitcoin is going to be able to actually own a UTXO. And we're sitting there as Bitcoiners, we're so early, we're sitting there talking about things like UTXO management, UTXO consolidation, because we've got fuckloads of them. And we're the minority, right? We are going to be a very rare breed if you own more than one UTXO. Admittedly, you are, the elite of future humans on this planet by owning one.
Yes,
So
I like that.
fucking
It's good to know. Yeah.
See, looking at us just now,
it's a nice way to put it there,
it?
Jazz. Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that it's like, let the free market decide whether it's valuable or not. I think that ultimately it will be proven to be bullshit. And if anything, it sort of does force us to figure out alternative solutions and get people onboarded to those sooner rather than later. The longer that low fees persisted, perhaps you could argue that there was just complacency. There wasn't the sense that we have to. It's a nice to have. And now it's kind of going, well, now we got to do it, because even idiots like me who couldn't give a shit about the technicals, I'm now even looking at the at mempool spaces. So it's in my mind. So it's got to be on a lot of people who are much smarter than me mind. You know what I mean? And who are building stuff. So yeah, that's awesome. What were you saying there, Hats?
I don't know, but what you're gonna get. So all of us on this call have probably been preaching the DCA thing for quite a while, which is good advice. However,
it has been.
It still is good advice, right? But we probably didn't focus enough, because we were all sort of complacent about the fees, on consolidation. So let's say somebody out there has been $20 a week or $50 a week or whatever they've been doing, and they've been thinking, oh, these guys also preach not my keys, not my coins. So they've been whipping it out of the exchange every single time, or every week, or every month, or whatever they're doing. What they now have is a lot of low value UTXOs, and they are going to need to consolidate those at some stage. Otherwise, they're just going to be, unspendable in the future. So they should be paying close attention to mempool.space, or big shout out Michael for Fee Advisor, because that will just ping a link straight to you, rather than you having to sit there captivated by mempool.space, which I also love. But yeah, so it's Daz is right. It just brings into focus what we should have been focusing on anyway. But it's the same old thing. It's like, yeah, you should be doing it, but until you're kicked in the nuts, you don't do anything about it. Well, now you're getting kicked in the nuts, and now you're going to start.
Here's a question, just practically for idiots like me. Now that Brenda's retired, we need another idiot on the scene.
Welcome. I'm more than happy to pass the torch, my friend.
From one idiot to another.
Yeah.
But basically, so like when we talk about consolidating UTXOs, is it quite as simple as literally looking at like taking everything from one wallet, dragging it to another in one foul swoop? Is that literally what we're talking about? Like, we're not talking about like, and this is not for someone like going, hey, get a Sparrow wallet, look at all your UTXOs. Like, they don't care about that. What happens if they've got some Coinbase? I mean, I'm going to say Coinbase app And it's like, you don't know what UTXOs you're having. Listen, man, you've been DCing, you've been dropping it into that like for the last year. I just suggest dropping the entire batch in one. Is that going to consolidate, or am I missing something?
Few things. I'll take that a few boys. So if you're DCAing into Coinbase, most of the time that you don't really have a UTXO problem when you've got coins on exchange. You do have a problem about fees getting them off exchange at the moment, which is also, if I go back to the earlier point, bullish as well, because if you're buying from a Bitcoin only exchange, it should also incentivize those exchanges to build out their Lightning offerings to get those coins off exchange. But side note, so if you've been DCAing into an exchange, as long as you haven't withdrawn that from the exchange, which we obviously always advocate for you to do, but you don't really have a UTXO problem yet. The UTXO problem only really exists once you take self-custody of that. And it's as simple as understanding how many times have I sent myself Bitcoin. Every time you send yourself Bitcoin from an exchange, you're basically creating a new UTXO. So that's probably the easiest way for people to grok around how many might I have is how many times have you sent Bitcoin from your exchange to yourself, or has someone else sent you Bitcoin, or have you moved Bitcoin to yourself? So pretty much every time you do that, you are creating a new UTXO. The best way for you to theoretically consolidate, I would argue, Sparrow Wallet. Get somebody who knows what they're doing with Sparrow Wallet, because it gives you a really good visual on exactly how many UTXOs you have, and then what best you can select each UTXO and then move them on. So that's the best way to consolidate it, is to get a visual representation of actually what you have out there. Because if you've only sent yourself Bitcoin, like you left it on the exchange and you were lucky enough to stack 10 grand, you moved it all off in one hit, chances are you've only got one UTXO. So you don't really know what you don't know unless you interrogate mempool.space, go through all your transaction IDs from your exchange if they give them to you, or put your wallet into something like Sparrow, which has all of your UTXOs listed, so you know exactly how big a problem you have. Now, the other important thing I think to understand is, like, later on, it's only really the consolidation of those UTXOs. Like, Bitcoin fees are all based on data size. So obviously, if you're going to send $1,000 worth of Bitcoin and they're held in 100 UTXOs, that's when, like to Hatz's earlier point, it becomes unspendable. But this issue doesn't really exist if you haven't been doing it. Like, if you've been sending yourself your DCA stack every single day, yeah, you got a big problem. But like, I know I've never advocated for that. It was always move it off, in $1,000. It was always my sort of overarching guide. So if you've got $1,000 UTXOs, then right now you can still move it. Like, it's not such an issue if you want to go and grab 10 of them. Those transactions, a lot of the transaction data limit that you're going to have is made up of not just the UTXO, but all the other transaction data as well gets formulated into that. So if you're going to take $10,000 UTXOs and then send it to yourself in a new address under one UTXO, then you're broadening that fee that you're going to pay spread across those 10 UTXOs. So it's not like the every UTXO you're two timesing the fee that you're going to pay. Yeah. There's an so again, I think I'd just sum all that up again by saying your best friend would be a Sparrow wallet. There's plenty of tutorials. If you're in Bitcoin right now and you've got a hardware wallet, Sparrow's within your capability.
Yeah. Sorry, Daz. Oh, you go.
No, just very quickly to do that. Wicked Smart Bitcoin YouTube, great tutorial, really understandable for your average person. Sorry,
for Sparrow.
Sparrow, yeah, Sparrow and consolidating your UTXO.
Yeah.
If I remember, I'll put it in the show notes.
Daz, I'm interested to hear what your opinion is on, I guess, balancing UTXO consolidation versus loss of privacy.
So the way I sort of look at it now is, I'm of the opinion, for me personally, my personal stack, not the docs balances or anything, but I'm not touching this for a long, long time. So I don't mind having bigger UTXOs. And I figure when the time comes, if and when the time comes that I'm going to want to sell some of that stack, I've got different size buckets, but the majority of my stack now sits in quite healthy UTXOs, because I know it's not going to see the light of day for quite some time. And I expect that fee environment to be a lot higher than what we're experiencing even now, if and when I choose to spend that. In saying that, the way I trade that off, because obviously the bigger UTXO you have, the worse it is for you in regards to privacy later on. So if later on I want to go and send Dale, quite a healthy stack of that Bitcoin, that transaction gives him the ability to peer into that UTXO that I've extinguished when I've sent him those funds. I think in future we will have a lot more, more than today, tools like second layers, third layers that will allow me to obscure that history a lot better. So I would move it onto Lightning potentially before I moved it onto Dale, for example, and then that just obscures that footprint, or I mix it on my way out of there. So if I want to send him 0.1 of a Bitcoin, I send it through. If I've got 0.5, I'll send it through a mixer of 0.1 pool, and then off it goes on the other side of that. All fee dependent, obviously, and then technology dependent as well. If and when we choose to do that, like I said, man, I'm in all honesty looking. These aren't going to see the light of day for quite some time, so I'm not. Future Darren problem.
It's a funny thing because it's like we're trying to get normies into Bitcoin, and now we're going to throw fucking UTXO management at them.
Yeah.
I actually think we are, though. I think I mean, right now we are. Sorry, you're right. But like down the line a little bit, because the problem will become more evident, people will create a solution for the problem, and it will be sort of abstracted away from people. So let's say you're creating some, but that's the selling point for why you would use something over something else. Like, we can do this for you in the background, like, and it might be, we're consolidating, regardless of what Bitcoin you put in, we'll look at the fees, and when fees reach a level that you say that you're comfortable with, we'll consolidate this into, I don't know, million Satoshi UTXOs or 10 million Satoshi UTXOs, whatever you determine.
And the reality will be most normies from here on won't even touch Space Chain. They will jump straight. You buy it through a, say, Bitcoin only exchange that has Lightning enabled, and you can set up a custody Lightning wallet now, with your own seed phrase. So they will just send it from Lightning. They won't even touch Base Chain. Not that that's necessarily recommended, obviously. However, I think as we move forward, that's where technology and the ecosystem is going to just get built, is on second and third layers.